Matthew and Luke have the two birth narratives that we use to make our Christmas stories. There are profound differences between them. Some scholars, like Dr. Bart Ehrman, say that they contradict. There are attempts to reconcile these two accounts. Not only is it possible, it's not even that hard really. One of the initial assumptions that people make which fuels these contradictions is that Joseph was from Nazareth. Maybe he was, or maybe he was from Bethlehem. In the Gospel of Matthew, Nazareth and Galilee aren't mentioned until the family returns from Egypt. In the Proto-Evangelium of James, a 2nd century infancy narrative of Jesus' birth, which some people in ancient times connected with Jesus' family, Nazareth and Galilee aren't mentioned at all. That leaves only the Gospel of Luke that mentions Galilee before Jesus was born. And what does it say? And in the 6th month the angel Gabriel was sent from God unto a city of Galilee, named Nazareth, to a virgin espoused to a man whose name was Joseph, of the house of David, and the virgin's name was Mary. Luke 1 verses 26 to 27. So that tells us that Mary was in Galilee, but doesn't tell us where Joseph is. Then after a bit, we get, and it came to pass in those days that there went out a decree from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be taxed. And this taxing was first made when Cyrenius was governor of Syria. And all went to be taxed, every one into his own city. And Joseph also went up from Galilee, out of the city of Nazareth, into Judea, unto the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, because he was of the house and lineage of David, to be taxed with Mary his espoused wife, being great with child. Luke 2 verses 1 to 5. This certainly reads more naturally as if Joseph were a resident of Galilee, but it could also be that Joseph was in Galilee negotiating the marriage to his very pregnant fiancée, and the combination of the impending birth and the tax season accelerated his plans to return to his home in Bethlehem. The only thing that brings a question to this at all is Luke 2 verse 39, which says, And when they had performed all things according to the law of the Lord, they returned into Galilee, to their own city Nazareth. There are a number of easy fixes here. For one thing, if we are reconciling these two stories, we know that this was more than 2 years later. We know this because they lived in Bethlehem for 2 years before the Magi came to visit. So if the Holy Family had originally moved to Bethlehem with a plan to relocate Mary to Joseph's hometown permanently, and then after a couple of years they changed their mind on rumors that Herod had gone crazy and was hunting down descendants of David, they might have taken up residence in Mary's hometown instead. Mary would have connections there, and that's important. As you can see, fitting the stories together into a consistent set of events isn't all that hard. They don't reconcile themselves, but they are easy to reconcile. If I tell my wife I'm going to the pharmacy and then my parents' house, and then tell my parents that I'm going to their house after the kids go swimming, the two plans don't reconcile themselves, but the accusation of lying is overly hasty. Obviously, my wife needs to know I'm visiting the pharmacy, but I won't be back with whatever I'm getting until after I'm at my parents' house. And my parents need to know the time frame for when I'll be to visit them. And that implies that the pharmacy was the first stop because the pool is on a schedule for open swim, and the pharmacy is not. We can reconcile the birth narratives in the Gospels with just about the same amount of effort. That said, should we? There are elements in each story that are difficult to verify independently, and may be put in there to make a point. The flight to Egypt might be Matthew's way of highlighting that Jesus is a new Moses. If that is the case, it could be that reconciling the stories is the problem, not the solution. The flight to Egypt, Mary's visit to Elizabeth, even the birth in Bethlehem could be embellishments to the story for a literary and not a historical purpose. In that case, altering one story to make it fit with the other might overshadow what the author is trying to say. Even if someday they learn how to check these things and it turns out that the reconciled story is more accurate, it's still not the story that the evangelist set out to tell us. I think that the lessons they are trying to teach us are more important than finding a way to reconcile the narratives. Thank you for watching my video. If you like theological and philosophical insights and deep dives into tough theological questions, rather than just the normal fluff that you will get from an apologetic channel or a normal Sunday sermon, then consider subscribing and hitting the bell. Also, if you like what you've heard here and want more, links to my blog, Amazon author page, and Zazzle products page are in the description.